Good morning, beautifuls. Got my latte here. Trying out some oat milk this time. I'm loving it. Gets so much more frothy than almond milk. If you're vegan, trying out new milks that work for your lattes, try oat milk. It's good. It's delicious. I'm gonna give a couple people a minute to hop on here. I know it's early. The last when I did the free Raise Your Vibration challenge, I did that in the morning because I wanted it to be something that everybody could listen to begin their day. And I realized that I love giving masterclasses in the morning. It's just a fresh mind, a fresh day ahead. And sometimes I may get a little nervous thinking about it all day long. Instead of just kind of like hopping into it with a fresh, non-chattering mind. So as you're hopping on here, just give me a wave of some sort or something because I cannot see exactly who is on. So yeah. My name is Chantel. I am a Dharma coach. So I help women fulfill their dharmas, fulfill their souls, bring balance to the world, and live a life that fulfills them and that can also fulfill the world while doing so. So I'm super, super duper excited for this masterclass. And let me tell you why, because I had the idea for this masterclass before I did the last masterclass, the Spiritual CEO masterclass. I came across this idea writing my book. And in this masterclass, I really hope to leave you inspired to take your leap, listen to your intuitive callings and find out all the places that they will take you. I really hope to inspire you to leap into those callings and to find out the importance of what lies behind them. And at the end, I'm going to invite you inside of my new course, the Dharma Business School. And I am just so excited for everything that we're going to talk about today. So like I said, give me a wave or something if you hop on because unfortunately I can't see who is on here. So I came across this idea while writing my book that I'm writing. I actually named it In Your Element because I was so inspired by this. So basically I was in this in-between phase of leaping, taking the leap that your intuition calls you to leap towards, and trying to reason with the calling, the intuitive calling. And so the thing is I think that the biggest thing that gets in our way from simply acting upon our intuition as it comes, taking those leaps of faith that just jump into our minds, the intuitive nudges that jump into our minds, I think one of the biggest factors that was also for myself that keep us from doing so is trying to reason with it, trying to put logic into the whole thing, trying to ask yourself the questions like, how is it that doing this thing will result in X, Y, or Z, right? We live in a world where we have to justify things, where we have to reason with things and try to find a way to justify it, try a way to prove it, that it's going to make sense. And taking leaps of faith and leaps of trust is something that doesn't happen as often. So a lot of us fight these intuitive callings by trying to reason with them. Like, how is it that moving to across the country, how could that bring you to the love of your life? How could you ever know that when you're being intuitively called to it and it feels so nuts during the time? How are you supposed to know? The thing is, you're not supposed to necessarily know. How is it that booking a one-way ticket to Thailand is supposed to bring you massive success in your business? You can't reason with that because we don't know. How is it that leaving your 9-to-5 with no plan whatsoever, besides just this really strong feeling that you need to do so, how is that supposed to bring you up front and center with, like, say, building a successful business for yourself that you never knew, like you never thought of beforehand. The thing is we don't know these things. And because we don't know these things, because we can't reason with them and create logical explanations as to why these intuitive nudges come into our minds, we tend to hold them off. We create so much resistance around the thing because of this. The idea comes into our minds. We can't reason with the why. Why, what, how is this going to bring this? The how is a huge thing because the universe takes care of the how, right? How is this supposed to bring me this and this and this and this? No, this doesn't make sense, you know? So we hold them off, right? And I have done the same exact thing, and I teach from a place of pure knowledge and just understanding of where that place is. We hold them off, and we kind of set this up as like a distant target. Like one day I'll do this type of thing. Or, man, I wish I could. This is the type of lingo that we use around these callings when we hold them off. So that was similar for me, you know? One day I will do this. You get stuck inside of this void of waiting, right? Because there's going to be, we've talked about this before, a better time. There's going to be something that's going to work out with your schedule better. There's going to be like a time where you'll have more money, you'll have less debt when coronavirus isn't around. Whatever all of that buildup is, we create this so that we can prove our story right, so that we can make ourselves feel better for pushing off the intuitive nudge for now. But inside that void of waiting, it lies never-ending reasons why you can wait. The fact of the matter is, if you are willing to wait, if you have the energy of waiting, if you are holding off this priority in exchange for this one, then you're saying yes to this one. Whether it's your job, whether it's you being in this loop of just paying bills and living for the weekend, or whatever it is for you that's just getting by, that's what you're saying yes to. We have to realize these things, that the things we're saying yes to and the things we're saying no to in return for those, and vice versa. I have water and I have coffee because I can't decide. So the thing is when we hold these things off, when we create this distant target, like one day I'm going to do this thing, it lies so heavy on our minds for so long. And we gave them permission to, right? And because of this, we build resistance. We build up this wall of energetic resistance around the thing. We quite literally give our power away to it. We make it seem too big for ourselves. Too big for us to leap into. Too big for right now. Too big for what you're capable for. And then you have to wait till this distant time or distant situation, distant version of you, and you're able to leap into it. Does this sound familiar? This is why the things that are calling us, they begin to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger the more we wait on them. Bigger inside of our minds, meaning like the urge that we feel like we need to do them, but also the scariness factor builds up, and also this feeling that it's like a big thing that's going to be difficult to do. This builds up. All of this is what I mean by resistance. It makes it so much harder the more we hold it off, because we continue to say no to that thing and yes to the other. And because of this idea of one day I'll leap into this when I have more money or when I'm retired. I hate that one. Who wants to go travel the world and like start their business when they're retired? Nobody. Your life doesn't begin when you're retired. Or when I pay off my college tuition, when this, when that, when this, when that, when this, when that, at this time, at that time. This is when the scenario builds up of that whole idea of I will be happy when, fill in the blank. I will be fulfilled when, fill in the blank. I will be capable when, I will be confident when, I will be successful when. We build this up inside of our minds, right? We create this scenario that we're not quite saying N-O, big old exclamation mark, no, to the thing. We're leaving it on the table. We're not saying yes to it either. Right? We're putting it off in the distance and saying, when X happens, then Y will happen. We get stuck in this void so often. And it's funny because this topic really sunk in for me when I watched the new movie Soul. I don't know if you've watched it, but if you haven't, you definitely should. Because the main character, I love the topic of this whole Disney show, but is always inside of his own mind and always wrapped up around this idea that his life is going to begin when he becomes a jazz pianist. He's been waiting his whole life for this thing, and his life's just now going to start. My life was just beginning. All of these things, and yet in the present day life, he's all wrapped up in his own mind that he's so detached from what life is really about. And this is exactly where this begins, is that resistance, is that not leaping when we feel called to leap. Because our intuition, like I've said, is like our roadmap. Our intuition is like that compass, that roadmap that gets you to the thing that you desire. That's exactly what it is. So when we leap into our intuitive callings as they come, that resistance completely disappears. Following your intuition just becomes a way of life. When you feel intuitively nudged to buy a ticket to, I don't know, Paris, Europe, you do it. You don't reason with it. You don't ask questions. You don't set it off in the distant future and say some better time. You just trust yourself and you leap into that intuition to find out what's there. Because the thing is sometimes our intuition doesn't bring us front and center with our dharmas. It doesn't bring us front and center with our purpose. It doesn't bring us front and center with, all behold, I'm happy instantaneously because I am just in this spot that my intuition told me to be in. And this is why we don't leap, because we don't see how this leap could lead to this, emotional response or this situation in your life. We don't see it. So we don't take that leap. But sometimes it does not lead front and center with these things. Sometimes it's just simply leading you into a place I like to call your element. A place of which you thrive. See, the thing is, we all have this place. And it could be across the country. It could be a physical place. It could be that your intuition calling you to light a bunch of candles in your room and play the guitar by yourself. Or write, or same scenario and write. It could be it could be anything at all that is calling you. You're being called to go for a walk. When you start, I got a lot of burps. When you start listening to your intuition, you'll start to notice all the little things too. Not just the big things, but the little things. The little inkling that you should go on a walk this morning before you go to work or whatever. That's guiding you into your element. That's guiding you into a place of which you thrive. If you're being called to leave one job and go to another, your intuition is guiding you into your element. It's guiding you into this environment of which you can uncover your Dharma, because you are in this space where creative ideas flow to you more naturally, where the chatter in your mind seems to go away, where you bring new life to yourself, new inspiration, new ideas within this change. Because a physical change, whether that be in like walking down like the path right over there after this call because I feel intuitively called to do it, whatever that change is like, it's like the compass showing you a little bit closer to that thing that you desire. It's like the breadcrumbs leading you. It's like another hint leading you to fulfilling your Dharma, to fulfilling the desires that you have within you. And when I came up with this idea, it was about buying that one-way ticket to Mexico. I had felt intuitively called to do this for months on months on months. But, because of our ego, because of all the things that we try to reason with to make sense of it, I had always come up with the idea that, of course everybody wants to travel, like, duh, it's not just me. I should, stop treating this so seriously and just what other people might say and start adulting and just living to pay your bills and not being excited for what it is that you're doing or whatever it is. These scenarios that we create inside of our minds create that resistance. So I told myself that, that everybody wants to travel. So what? That shouldn't mean anything, right? And that's when I came across this idea of your element. And it makes literally just so much sense. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of Astro Photography, but if we want to take that a step further, in a basic understanding, basically what it is it's based, there's energetic lines that run throughout the entire world, and depending on where the planets lined up in the world, based off of your natal chart reading, your energy and your emotions can be affected in a certain way when you're in a certain place in the world. So if we're talking about places in general right now that call you, there's a little bit more of a astrophysical understanding of it, so that you can definitely look deeper into that and try to find exactly why it is that a place is calling you. And it can really help things to become full circle for you too. If you're not, oh my gosh, Astro Photography is just the coolest thing. You can spend so much time just looking at so much. Hold on a second, I need coffee. Ooh, hopefully you can't hear my gurgles as I'm drinking. But yeah, so what's crazy is for me, I have no lines going through almost all of the US. I found that really odd. And then of course my ego tries to justify it again. Of course, there's probably a ton of people that don't have lines where they live, and that's not true, because I looked up to other people's and they both had lines going through Washington State, and my closest ones were Mexico, and I had so much stuff going on in South America. But yeah, just just go check out Astro Photography. But the more that we fall into this, the more we try, like, step away from not reasoning with it, we have to realize that our only job, because we'll never be able to reason with it, it's important to believe in your own form of magic when you're in the spiritual world, when you're within manifestation, personal growth. To believe in something is so powerful. And whether that be like Lord Jesus, or whatever it is, or like, I don't know, like Greek gods, or whether you're pagan or Wiccan or all of these things, it doesn't matter. But the thing is to believe in something and own that magic is so powerful, because our biggest duty is to fall into these callings as they come. And it is to just leap when we feel called. Trust. Just trust and leap. And when we do this, when we just leap into it as it comes, we don't overthink it, we don't try to reason with it, we don't try to logic with it, we don't create, what we do is we release the resistance. That resistance wall goes down. These imaginary boundaries that we create for ourselves to create a new story that backs up all the reasons why we can't do this thing right now, all of that goes away. All of the resistance goes away. Because, like I said, sometimes it's just leading you. It's just another puzzle piece into uncovering what it is you truly desire, whether it be your Dharma, whether it be your successful business that you don't even know is within you right now, your book launch, your songwriting talents, like the list could go on. Your discovery that you were like amazing at dance and that leads you down a dance career. Like, we have no idea the scenarios that our intuition will call us into. For like dance, for example, I don't know, maybe you're being called to go to like Argentina, and like, why the heck would you do that? It's cold down there and coronavirus and all the things. And there you discover your love for salsa and you learn to salsa and you get so enveloped in the culture and you're so amazing at it. It's your new passion in the world and you are just phenomenal. And you come back and you like land like some big salsa career, or you started like a salsa dance studio that does so well, because you're bringing like the authentic dance back from Argentina. Like, that's just one scenario I came up with the top of my mind. Okay, we do not know where intuition leads us. We have no clue, and we have to be open to that. We have to get excited about that, excited about what's on the other side of that leap, willing and excited. These are energies of trust. It's so important, the energy that you are stepping into these leaps in, because if you're still questioning, if you're still super nervous, and okay, like nervous is moderately like normal in these scenarios, but if you're just like in the back of your mind, like, I'm just doing this to fulfill this need, it's not really going to work, I don't really believe in it, then you know what? The universe sees that and says, okay, if you say so. You're going to say yes to your past story once again, so I guess I'll say yes to it too. We're going to say no to this. It's super important to believe in yourself as well as believe in your leap and believe in your intuition. Because the thing is, your storyline, your story, is not meant to be just like the last. It's not. We're meant to create it on our own. It's not supposed to be high school, college, stable 9-to-5 desk job that you hate, you know, marriage, the kiddos, the big amounts of debts, paying your bills, living for the weekend, vacationing once or twice a year. Listen, this is the life that most people have in the world. And it's because of this that we begin to accept this version as normal, as true, as responsible, as reasonable, that makes sense, all of those things, the things we can reason with, and we begin to turn off anything but. Because when you want to take a leap that doesn't line up with this belief system, you get a lot of resistance from yourself and from others, and usually that resistance that you have that you have for yourself does come from others too. Because we fear that judgment, because we fear taking that leap that someone else doesn't understand. But we do not need to explain ourselves. Because intuition is not, magic cannot be described by logic. And nobody's storyline is the same. And your intuition is very much like your pencil. It's your pencil that is trying to write out your story. But the more that you push it back, the more that you try to reason with it and erase the lines, or just put at a halt, you don't allow your unique story to finish. And we're scared of what can be written out because we don't know, right? We have to trust. And sometimes a story isn't just, it's not just take this one leap and you'll be we'll become right in the world. And I used to think when I went on a 6 month road trip in the Pacific Northwest and worked as I went and all of these things in an RV. And the last destination that I had planned out was supposed to be Havasu Falls in near the Grand Canyon, Arizona. We didn't get to do it because the air conditioning went out in the RV. We were in Las Vegas, Nevada in the middle of August, and it was death hot. My cat wanted in the freezer 24/7. My animals couldn't sleep. We couldn't sleep. Anyways, we weren't able to fulfill that. And so I was incredibly sad for the longest time because I realized that I thought that was my moment. I thought that the end of that 10-mile hike, when I saw that bright blue waterfall in that red desert, that I would just know my place in the world, that I would just discover everything. I would feel so happy and fulfilled, and everything would click for me. We all so many of us feel like this in some sort of way. Once we do this thing, everything else will make sense and everything else will come together instantly. But what kind of story is that? That's not a story I would read. That's not believable. It's way too short. Our storyline is full of leaps and bounds and obstacles and lessons and outcomes and highs and lows and all of the beautiful moments in between. And we have to allow them to be written out. Because our story is not like the last person's, nor is it supposed to be. And that's not going to make sense to this person's story. Sometimes your story is not going to make sense to them because they're living an entirely different story. And that's okay. Your only, and all of ours, only duty is to trust and to leap. Because you see that all the things that you desire truly desire you too. They don't desire everyone. They call to you. They want to be a part of your story. They're begging to be a part of your story if you'll just let them fill the blank for you. Go on the journey to figure it out, to finish your story, to get to that desire. Your intuition is like your pencil trying to write that story. So think about that. Your desires desire you to. And like, once again, I try to debunk all of these things too, you know, like, how are they so unique to me? Like with the travel thing, everybody wants to travel, or everybody wants to work for themselves, of course, yada, yada, yada. No, like, my best friend would rather live a stable, predictable desk job than work for herself. The thing is our success in any sort of way is measured by the belief in your story. So it's important to ask yourself, what story are you buying into? I used to be surrounded in a scenario where I would have people talking about like, oh, I'm ready for a nap, like at 11 a.m. already. Or, oh, it's going to be one of those days. Oh, it's always something. Oh, my paycheck's going to be gone so fast. Oh, I have so many bills to pay. Oh, I'm just like, we're all broke, man. Answer the phone and people are just always like, oh, how are things going? How are you? Oh, I'm just living the dream. So much sarcasm. I would not buy into it. I knew that was not my story, and I was not going to choose that story. I was not going to continue to say yes to that story, and I chose another one and trusted that the intuition that was coming my way was leading me to my correct story. Girl, stop it. It's like licking his butthole over here. Hopefully you didn't hear all that. Mm-hmm. So if you're surrounded by these statements, if you're surrounded by like these stories, I want that to be your wake-up call. I want that to be like, you know, something that it's your alert system. It's your wake-up call that you're living in the wrong story. If you see the scenarios around you, it means you are, even if you're not completely in it, you are just on the brink. You've said yes to so many things that are similar to that story that you're like, you're right there. And I want that to scare you. I want that to scare the shit out of you. So that you can work so hard to create your own story, whether that means a change of job, a change of environment, taking this big leap that has been calling you for so long, and just to find out what's on the other side of it already. So feel free to drop that in the comments, of course, because I want to know. If you're watching this recording, I still want to know. I want you to interact with this as if you were here live with me. And I want you to know that when something does not feel good to you, emotionally, physically, if it doesn't feel good to be living in the story that you are surrounded by, then that means that something's not right. That is like a clear indication when you don't feel good in some sort of way that it's not your truth. Yeah, and this comes in so many different aspects, you know, so many different aspects. When things don't feel good to you, it's because it's not your truth. So, what do you do? You know, like, what do you do after knowing all of this? What the heck do you do? how do I start? Like, what does this mean? Some action points, some action tips here. You leap. That's it. We need to stop creating the resistance, stop creating things to be more complicated than what they really are, because we're trying to reason them, because we fear judgment of how we're going to explain it to somebody else. All the questions that I had come up in my head about my one-way ticket to Mexico, they weren't my questions. They weren't things that I actually cared to ask. They weren't things that worried me whatsoever. Those questions came up because I knew someone else would ask them, and I had to like prepare myself to justify my own story. But we don't need to. In no way, shape, or form is there something written in the universe that you have to justify every move that you make that your intuition tells you, because you would hit a lot of walls, honey. Honestly, there's a big difference between knowing something and embodying it. And this is a place that I stayed stuck in for a very long time. Because it doesn't matter all the things that you feel right now, or tuning into this masterclass. It matters what you do after this masterclass. It matters what you do with the knowledge that is in here, and how you act upon it, how you embody it, how you really transmute the message, and find out all this stuff for yourself. That doesn't always matter. The 30-minute breathwork session you do in the morning, or the meditations like that you do in the morning before work, or the visualization or the journal prompts, these are all good, but they're good in addition to how you embody that behavior when you get off that meditation pillow or that yoga mat, when you get off of this masterclass. That is the most important. Things like this are given with the intention to inspire you to realign with your truth. Because I know I need it all the freaking time, okay? Not just sometimes, we need it all of the time, for sure. But I want to remind you that it matters how you embody this knowledge, not just today, not just this week, for a lifetime. And that's why we need constant reminders of inspiration like this. So we leap. We leap into what intuition is guiding us towards. We leap into our callings that are calling us. And we do it again and again and again and again and again and again. This is how we live our lives. And we release that resistance of waiting. We release that resistance of trying to reason with it. We allow universe, source, intuition, all this stuff to guide us towards our dharmas, towards into our element of which we can discover it. Because I'm sure that the salsa dancer that got called to Argentina went into this salsa club, and like that was her freaking element right there. But we don't know that when we leap. We have to trust. We have to trust ourselves. We have to trust our intuition. We have to trust our story. And this is so important, because if we don't, we're going to always create that resistance. We have to trust our stories. And I hope that I can be a part of it. And I hope that I can be a part of your leap. I hope I can be a part of releasing the resistance. So the Dharma Business School is about taking that power back. That power that we gave away to that thing, that leap, that thing that's calling us. It's about taking that back. Taking that leap to fall into those callings and claiming them. claiming that power, claiming that right to write our own story. And that's how this all came about, because we all have our own story to write. We all have the right to pick our pencil back up and continue writing the story out for ourselves, to find out where it'll take us, to know that intuition is like our breadcrumbs are leading us to our dharmas, leading us into this element of inspiration, leading us into this space where we can become inspired and bring new life, new ideas to place. But it's more than that. It's so much more than that, because we will launch it, we will scale it, we will create a purpose-driven business aligned with these callings, aligned with your element, aligned with your dharma. Because when you are in this space, this is when manifestation just becomes secondhand. This is when manifestation, it just becomes a regular way of living. Because when you are so aligned with your divine path, when you are so aligned with what it is that you're supposed to do in the world, the service that you're meant to provide that nobody else can, this is when we are so aligned with our element, with our vibration, that we are able to manifest everything that we desire with ease, because we're already in alignment with it all. We already are embodying it all. And it's easy to do so because we feel lit up to do it. So beyond this, we will talk launch strategy. We will talk building an engaged audience. We will talk about email workflow, the graphics, the web design, whatever it is that people fear behind the technicalities of starting your business. We will get over that hump and we will release that resistance of fear. Because like I said, the things that you desire deserve you to, or desire you to, and you deserve them. I am so excited for this course. It is like my baby. It has been stemmed from honestly just so much. I've had this belief, this knowing that all of us have this void to fill in the world, a service to provide that is bigger than ourselves, that aligns with our passions and brings balance to the world, for so long, since I was like in high school. And it's like this full circle loop to coming back to this space and realizing that that's exactly what I'm supposed to teach people within. And it's exactly why I've been so gifted with all the technical skills as well, because I can release that resistance as to how to begin, how to scale, or how to launch. So if you guys are interested in the Dharma Business School, we start in May. I am going to be teaching you guys from the beautiful Tulum, Mexico, to find out what lies there, to teach you from a level of new inspiration, to teach you inside of my element. So I'm very, very excited for that. If you guys are interested in that, I hope to see you inside. It's going to be so freaking amazing. It's going to be the journey of a lifetime, and I take your success very, very seriously. So I believe in you. I want you to believe in yourself too. So send me a DM if you have any questions, or if you need a little hand to hold to get you through the process. And other than that, I do have the link available in my bio to sign up. Like I said, we begin in May, and I am just so incredibly excited. So I hope you guys enjoyed this masterclass. Please comment any questions that you had, any takeaways that you had. Feel free to share it within the group if you had some major takeaways or wins that happen right afterwards. I love, 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 love to see them. And yeah, I'm happy to have seen you guys this morning. I hope you have an amazing Thursday leading up into the weekend, and that you go out and you embody this message, you embody this everything that we've learned here today, and take it to the whole next level. Jump into your leaps, jump into your callings as they come, and I want to hear all about it. All right, guys, have an awesome Thursday morning, and I will talk to you guys next time.